Bob Gallagher, the mayor of the city of Bettendorf, Iowa. Today is Friday, April 28th, 2023. Welcome to City Hall. Now, we know many of you have received new assessments on your homes, and the assessment process and how that turns into taxes and what you might pay is really complicated, and we've received a lot of questions. So we're here today with our expert, Jason Schatt. He's our Director of Finance, and it's Jason and his team's job to try to weed through all of this and what it means. Not only do we have the information we know right now, but because the state is still in session, our legislature, we may end up with some new and additional changes to how you are taxed. So Jason, welcome to the Mayor's Message.
Thank you, thanks for having me.
Glad that you're here. Jason has done some work to put together a PowerPoint to kind of explain some of the terms as well as how the taxes are computed. So Jason, take it away. Let's kind of walk through for everybody.
Sure.
This topic, which of course is convoluted, confusing, sometimes very frustrating.
And to that point, I think it's never been more important to understand the property tax system in Iowa and how changes at the different levels of government might affect a person's tax bill in the future. So we put this together to kind of simplify a complicated process. First, we'll start with some terms to know. Assessor is the appointed county official charged with determining the full market value of property for taxation purposes.
Now, the assessor's job can be made more difficult by the Department of Revenue, who says that the assessor must put a value on your house within 5% above or below comparable home sale values. So we got hit 20% across the board in residential and more than 30% in commercial properties in Scott County this year, kind of as a result of what the Department of Revenue is going to make us do, because we had to get those values up 2 years ago based upon our letter from the Department of Revenue.
Right. So the assessor does follow a state mandated process in his evaluation of property. And what he does is set assessed value. And just as you indicated, that's an estimated full market value of property determined by the assessor based on that state mandated assessment process.
Right.
Then the state comes in again and determines a rollback. The rollback is the term we use to describe the state's equalization order that reduces assessed value in order to limit growth in taxable value of residential property to no more than 3% statewide.
So here in Bettendorf, if we're growing at over 5% in value, in fact this year at 20 or so percent in residential value, we only get to capture the 3%?
Not necessarily. The 3% in today's legislation is a statewide cap. So it does not limit individual properties or individual cities from increasing more so, as long as there's other cities around the state that are increasing less so.
Okay, so it's comparable statewide?
Yes. The rollback is part of what determines then taxable value, the portion of assessed value subject to taxation after the rollback's credits and other reductions.
Like the homestead credit?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then finally, the taxing authorities, including the city, county, school districts, and others, will set a rate per 1,000 of taxable value, which is the tax levy, and that is the rate at which property owners are taxed.
We've got a little part of that, but not all of it.
Exactly, and I go a little bit further here on tax levy. We'll break it down into the consolidated levy, which is the combined total of tax levies for all taxing authorities, and then the city levy rate. And that's the portion of the consolidated levy rate that is controlled and collected by the city. In Bettendorf, in fiscal year 22-23 and 23-24, the city's levy rate will be $12.65 per 1,000 of assessed valuation. Taxes levied by the city of Bettendorf represent just about 39% of a resident's total tax bill.
Because we've got other people who want a part of our money, counties, school districts, and you're going to go into that.
We do. So where do those property tax dollars go? Well, if you live in the Bettendorf school district, about 39% of your property taxes will go to the city of Bettendorf. About 38% will go to the school district, and about 19% will go to Scott County. On the flip side, if you're in the PV school district, The city's portion drops to just about 38%, while the school portion in PV goes up to about 40%, and Scott County right there at about 18%.
This is a good slide because people often want to know, why do I have to pay taxes in Bettendorf? What do you do with my money?
Right. Property taxes represent just about 34% of all of the city's revenue and help to pay for the exceptional city services that you know and expect in Bettendorf.
The same person wants a street done and wants a cop there, but wants to know why, and this is a good explanation.
Yeah, police and fire protection, public library, parks, trails, and recreation programs, street construction and repair, the public transit system, and then our general government planning and administration is all covered in the general fund, which is mostly funded through property taxes.
And we are the lowest, if not the second lowest general fund levy in the state.
That's correct.
Yes, so we're doing more with less than any other city above 10,000 people.
We like to brag that we are lean on the operating side of the budget.
That's right.
Together, expenditures for police and fire, that public safety element that we talked about, make up more than half of all operating expenditures supported by property taxes. So I think this is just another indicator as to how lean we run as a city. So how about calculating that residential tax bill?
With all of these levers and all of these factors, you're going to try to simplify it for us.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
Step one, as we talked about, is the assessed value. Assessments are, again, determined by that county assessor using a state-regulated system. The city of Bettendorf has no control or input on assessments.
So those new assessed values that came out over the last 2 to 3 weeks, we don't have anything to do with those.
We don't, and the budget we just adopted last week is not effective for those assessments.
Right, we
That
pay
won't happen.
those like 18 months in arrears.
Right, that won't happen until fiscal year 24-25.
Okay.
Every other year, the assessor estimates the full market value of each property. And importantly, as we've already noted, assessed value is not taxable value.
That's on the odd years, 2023, 2021, so we'll get again in 2025.
Correct. Step two is to determine taxable value. Each fall, the state publishes that rollback that will be applied to assessed value and taxed in the following fiscal year. The table here shows recent history of rollback percentages, but I'll note that in FY 23-24, the budget that we just adopted, the rollback will be 54.65% on residential properties. That's effective on 2022 assessments. FY 24-25, we have a question mark on, but we would anticipate, due to the sharp increase in values, that the rollback would decline, maybe as low as 46-48% next year.
And you can see in multi-residential the change that the legislature made a couple years ago, now taxing multi-residential at the residential rather than at a commercial rate.
Correct. And
which costs the city...
several $100,000 accumulated.
Sure.
Step three in calculating that tax bill is the tax levies. The cities and other taxing authorities adopt levies that, together with other revenue sources, generate funding required to provide the governmental services for the upcoming fiscal year. In the current year, FY 22-23, the city's levy was $12.65 and will remain so in 23-24. Budget, or the council just adopted the 23-24 budget last week with no increase in the levy rate. But importantly, the consolidated rate in the current year, we don't know where everyone is going just yet for next year. Consolidated rate in the current year, at, if you're in the Bettendorf School District, 32.19, and then in PV, 33.27, and that's dollars per 1,000 of taxable valuation.
So they're both 2.5 or so times the city. And they, like we, move up and down depending on how things are going in this equation, as well as the budget of the things that the residents or the students and the families want for their school district.
Exactly. And I should note that includes Scott County.
In the consolidated.
Yes, and a couple other smaller taxing entities. Okay. Finally, let's do the math. We know the process. Let's check out how the math works. we're going to walk through an FY 22-23, so that's current fiscal year because we have all the information we need. We're assuming that this is a home in Bettendorf schools, and assuming it's a home that hits that mean value of assessments in 2021 of $266,937. So the first column here is our calculation of city taxes. Over to the right of that is the consolidated taxes. So first we'll talk about the city taxes. Right off the top, if you have not applied for your homestead credit, I would suggest you go to the county and get that applied for. It will take $4,850 off.
Very simple process.
Yep. Reduces your tax bill a little bit each year. And then the state rollback, and again, this is current year, it's 54.13%. So that reduced assessed value down to a taxable value of $141,868. Apply the city's levy rate per thousand of $12.65, and you get a city tax bill of $1,795. If we move over to the right, you'll see your entire tax bill that includes those levies for the county, the schools, and the other taxing entities. So your total tax bill on that average home, the $266,000 home, will be $4,567, again, for fiscal year 22-23. So you've likely already paid all of these taxes.
That's per year, which is paid in 2 installments, March and September, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And then, if you would like to, find out some more information on how taxes are calculated, what the city's budget looks like, we would direct you to the City of Bettendorf webpage, bettendorf.org/budget. Also, the county assessor has some great information on their website. At the state of Iowa, you could look at the Iowa property tax overview that the Iowa Department of Revenue provides. And then all city budgets and lots of useful statistics about city budgets statewide can be found at Department of Management's website. Again, that's a state agency. So lots of information available, but we love talking about it, so you can always reach out to us too.
Yeah, give us a call. We're very pleased that Bettendorf continues to fare very well against all of those other cities in the state of Iowa. The lowest general fund levy, that means we do more with less than anybody else that has a city over 10,000 people. The small ones are a little bit different category. But we're real pleased at the work that Jason Schadt and the team in finance, as well as our department heads, do to ensure that we do more with less and we run as efficiently as we possibly can. So hopefully you've learned a little something today about property taxes, about your home assessed value, and what are all of these things that people talk about that finally determine how much I pay in property taxes. Have a great weekend.